Welcome back. I'm Karen, founder and managing director of Orchid Leadership Coaching and Consultancy Limited, encouraging you to embrace the leader within, whether you are a CEO leading a company, an executive leading a team of innovators, an emerging entrepreneur, or a working or stay-at-home parent leading the family and home. Now's the time to embrace the future. Empower the new you. Welcome to Season 2, Episode 8 of Enlightened Leadership Coaching Snippets, a new season of podcasts linking to empowerment, mindfulness, and well-being within leadership. In this episode, we'll be deep diving into Beyond Limitations, breaking the belief barrier. If you missed our earlier episodes, don't worry. They're available to download on numerous major podcast platforms. Do ensure to subscribe or follow so not to miss out on future upcoming episodes. Getting back to today's episode, focusing on Beyond Limitations, breaking the belief barrier. When we think of limitations, what comes immediately to mind? For many of us, we often draw upon those limitations we view as external to us, that affect us, that we use to perhaps cloak that which we know would push us beyond our comfort zone and into new territories of growth and learning. What if, however, those limitations weren't actually external to us, but in effect, self-created, brought about as a means of self-protection of sorts, a set of self-generated rules to guide, to direct, but ultimately that result in preventing us from reaching our true and full potential. Do you remember being totally fearless? Somewhere in the distant past? Going beyond your curiosities? That sense of boundless adventure, where anything and everything is possible. If you can't recall in recent times, maybe it was when you were a child or in your early years, when curiosity took you to ideas and places you perhaps wouldn't dare to tread now or even think about in real terms. Perhaps now you only think of it in terms of play or imagination. Ask yourself, are there certain beliefs that are presently holding you back, that prevent you from attempting those incredible life-changing goals? Even everyday goals that limit you and create a set of unconscious limiting beliefs that halt and hinder you even attempting to step beyond that which you are comfortable with. Is your life ruled by statements such as, I can't do that, I'm not good enough to, I'm not old enough to, I'm too young to, I'm not good at, I'm not worthy to, I wouldn't even dare to? Who was it that instilled these limiting beliefs into you? Or do they feel like they've been a constant that's always been part of you, that have strengthened over time? Though of course it's appropriate that we have inner and societal rules to guide us and to assure our moral standing in society, it's essential that you aren't holding yourself back from your true goals and of living a fulfilled and satisfying life. So in this episode, let's dig a little deeper into what limiting beliefs are, how we can recognize them, and most importantly, how can we push beyond those limiting beliefs, or limitations as we may know them, breaking our own inner belief barriers towards a more fulfilled and intentional life of purpose. So let's dive a little deeper. When things happen in life, our unconscious mind attempts to make sense of it and to protect us by generating a story as to the why or what of what has happened. And we start to live as if that story were an absolute truth, because we believe it is keeping us safe and away from harm, rejection, embarrassment, humiliation, or even failure. Such narratives or stories are often formed somewhere in our childhood, where we then convince ourselves that they are part of our identity that remains with us as we grow into adulthood, strengthening and becoming more convincing as we age in years. The truth, however, is that these stories that we tell ourselves don't in effect protect. They instead are self-made narratives that act to prevent and hold us back from taking key life opportunities, making good choices, and most importantly, can prevent the life we are striving for through built-up fear, playing our lives within safe and secure boundaries. So, where do these limiting beliefs spring from? To a certain extent, some beliefs are shaped through family and education. As we grow up, our parents most likely had certain morals and values that they instilled in us. These may have emerged from their own past generational beliefs and ideas about how both we and the world should be. It could then link to shaping our career paths, certain behaviours, and how to engage with others in society. When we learn from authoritative figures such as our parents, our teachers, our educators, we tend to respect that they are leading us to something real, and therefore conclude absolute truth. However, very often such beliefs are triggered by experiencing specific episodes that may have felt negative or caused memorable suffering or anguish earlier in our lives, thus causing our unconscious mind to derive certain conclusions about the bigger world and about ourselves, and to block the experience and protect us by creating a total belief in the outcome and then adapting our behaviour accordingly, which can result in hindering outcomes like procrastination, conformism, overthinking, remaining within the comfort zone, anxiety, imposter syndrome, and other similar negative outcomes. A simple example of this is if we were to fall in love and then encounter heartbreak, the narrative we might conclude as a defense mechanism is that all love ends in pain. And that becomes the story or narrative we tell ourselves, and it becomes the established outcome of expectation, where we are not surprised when relationships follow a short-lived pattern, and where we even contribute it through potential self-sabotage because of our belief. Such limiting beliefs prevent us from seeing what is possible for ourselves and for our lives, and truly holds us back, even paralyzes us. Have you ever seen what could be your dream job, for example, and thought, I'm not capable or qualified enough for it, so you don't even apply for that job? Or have you often told yourself you are terrible with numbers, so you then don't even attempt to manage your own finances? Identifying our limiting beliefs within us can help to create the desire for inner change that can lead to challenging and overturning the narrative of our earlier years, creating a new perspective, reframing the stories we tell ourselves, and ultimately reprogramming our thoughts so that there'll be a new positive narrative to replace the old, where there's no holding us back or preventative measures kicking in. As Tony Robbins once said, the only thing that's keeping you from getting what you want is the story you keep telling yourself. So, what can we do to firstly identify our limiting belief or beliefs, and then to shift our mindset to a new narrative? Simply put, we must identify, reframe, and move forward. Ultimately, we need to develop the practice of recognizing a limiting belief and reframing it to help us to take a step forward into a changed and more positive narrative. Our initial steps could be to pause, stop, and reflect. When feeling resistance or fear, perhaps pause, become aware and recognize the belief and reflect on it without judgment. Next, whilst reflecting, recognize and understand that these thoughts or beliefs are not the absolute truth. Perhaps consider writing down your general thoughts and beliefs. Perhaps categorize them into areas such as finance, family and relationships, career, health, and try to identify those thoughts and beliefs that are helping you to grow and those which are the stories you are telling yourself that are holding you back. This may also include assessing past behavior patterns that have limited you or where there have been negative outcomes or missed opportunities. Understanding that you created these narratives by giving meaning to past experiences or events, and that this is not the truth about you. Do remember, however, to be gentle with yourself, so not to spiral further into limitation. Forgive yourself and others who have bought into the beliefs that you are now recognizing. An additional step is to challenge this recognized belief and look for evidence. Ask yourself, what if I'm wrong? Generally, limiting beliefs lose their power as soon as we consider that they may not be true. You have the absolute power to turn those limited beliefs into a new, truthful narrative by looking for evidence that challenges that belief. Ask yourself, how is this belief serving me? Remember, we are not a victim of our limiting beliefs, no matter how much we incorporate this into our narrative. They do not happen to us. We create our own limiting beliefs because we believe they serve us, that they protect us, keep us safe from harm, rejection, embarrassment, humiliation, and even failure. This is a key aspect of why we are often so willing to hold on to our limiting beliefs for so long, and why it can be a difficulty to let it go. This is where you can then give yourself permission to honor those beliefs that have held you back, to forgive yourself, and most importantly, to move forward. Take back your power. Take back control of your thoughts, beliefs, and ultimately claim authority over your life. A thought or a feeling is just that, and nothing more. They will pass. They don't represent the truth about you. Dream big. Creatively weave a new, more positive narrative, built of new alternative beliefs that are a true reflection of who you are or who you are becoming. Another helpful step is perhaps to talk this through with somebody, with someone neutral who hasn't bought into the existing narrative that you have created about yourself. Sometimes this is where talking to a coach can be of enormous benefit, where through partnering in discussion, you can provide yourself certain clarity of the limiting beliefs you presently hold on to. Agree with yourself what you are willing to let go of and begin to create a new, empowering narrative about yourself that could become the catalyst of positive change in your life. That will also help to develop a growth mindset that is open to new opportunities, that is courageous, and is willing to help you to step into your life's purpose. Finally, of course, we need to act upon our new narrative and put it into practice. Testing out alternative beliefs, implementing areas that align with our new beliefs and that endorse and embed our new narrative. This then conditions us to our new beliefs and into new patterns, which in effect creates a new reality that your mind aligns with and becomes congruent with. So, a new narrative has been written. A new reality has begun. What new ways can we sustain this mindset and reprogramming? Various focusing exercises, meditation, and simple self-hypnosis can help to calm, support, and focus the mind into desired patterns, beliefs, and your desired core narrative. When you get past the invading clutter of thoughts, this is where you can link with your inner self, your unconscious mind, and focus on the positive beliefs and narrative you are desiring to adopt and sustain. Continued personal development can also support this process. Reading books linking to your desired beliefs and narratives, listening to podcasts and audiobooks, as well as setting SMART goals for future positive aspirations, and journaling so to monitor your progress of change and development. Use of positive affirmations and realigning your values to match your desired outcomes can also embed and make this process congruent with your unconscious mind, helping to improve self-esteem, confidence, and well-being. This could take the form of written phrases or words, said aloud mantras, or even visualizations of future narratives and success. So, we've looked deeply into beyond limitations, breaking the belief barrier for ourselves. But what about our children? How do we support children to perhaps prevent them being hindered in the future, and to ensure they have every opportunity to create a life that is purposeful and fulfilling? Of course, we cannot wrap our children in cotton wool. That in itself would create even bigger limiting beliefs. Neither can we prevent children from interpreting their own experiences and therefore building certain limited beliefs for themselves. However, we can attempt to remove ourselves as the adults who may inadvertently influence their early belief system and therefore influence limitations that may grow and manifest later negative outcomes, and shut down their adventurous and innovative spirit. Instead, we can encourage, enable, and empower our children, whether as a parent, teacher, or carer, to enrich their own future through confident decision-making, confidence in trying and not giving up, as well as creating a safe space for open discussion about the stories they believe about themselves, so to help them recognize and understand how they needn't be limited, but can instead reframe into a positive and more purposeful narrative for the future, where anything is possible. A challenge I lay before you. Take measure of the stories you tell yourself. Identify that which is holding you back. Identify your limiting beliefs. In what ways will you pave the path towards an authentic narrative that reflects your truth self? How will you move forward towards your life's purpose? If you need additional support, what might that look like? And in what ways will you support your child as they encounter what they perceive as limitations? Feel free to share some of your follow-up actions with me on any of my social media platforms. Or alternatively, share a comment with me right here after listening. I look forward to our next podcast session, where we will be deep diving into social enterprise, the conflicting faces of welfare. So make sure you tune in and engage with me after the session about your thoughts and personal takeaways. Until then, please remember, if this podcast episode added value to your day or evening, download it, share it with your colleagues and friends, and of course, ensure to follow or subscribe so you don't miss out on future episodes. And remember, embrace the future, empower the new you, awaken the leader within, and let's take back control of our aspirations. Thanks for listening.